Hey everybody, welcome to Slamfire Radio, episode 403 for May 6, 2021. I'm one of your hosts, Kelly Lynn.
I'm another one of your hosts, Adriel.
Hey Adriel.
Hey.
How are you? Bummed?
Could be better.
Bummed?
Could have more maple seeds lined up for this month, but but I don't.
Nope.
Not anymore.
Nope. The government has squashed everything.
We had the most cases of all the provinces and states, and apparently that's a bad thing. So they shut everything down. Not everything. Some stuff.
Yeah. Well, guess welcome to the club because we're shut down too. But anyways, okay. Why don't we get into the show? What we did in guns this week is brought to you by the Calgary Shooting Center, is Canada's premier firearms retailer. They have the Chiappa Spencer 4440. So he put this in here. Tell me about it.
Put that in there. It's a 4440. It's like this cool looking 4440. Let me share my screen and I'll show people what this thing looks like. Is that the right screen?
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah,
look at that thing.
Yeah.
Kind of a neat rifle, the Spencer rifle. Anyways, manually lever operated, tube magazine in the buttstock. Wow.
Only 3 left in stock. And
they had 4570, I think, too. So if you don't like the 4440, if you want something with it's a little bit easier to get ammo for, they had some of those as well.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
$2,000.
Yeah, it's a fancy. It's not like something you're just gonna bang around and go hunting in the bush with a deer with, but kind of neat.
Yeah. Yeah. Go contact the Calgary Shooting Center and go and tell them we sent you.
Yeah.
Why don't we do what we did in guns, and we'll start with you.
Okay, so Saturday, Sunday, I did 2 maple seeds, which was good. Yeah, we had a limited number of people who could go because we had a 10-person limit, and that 10-person limit is now a 0-person limit, so couldn't do anything after. But I'm glad I got 2 in when we could.
Yeah, so I listened to last week's show. And we were saying, I'm getting ready to go out, and that's all that matters because I win, basically, over the conversation, wasn't it? I win over you, Kelly. We get to start first. Yeah. We'll see who finishes last. Remember how cold it is in November in Alberta?
Yeah, there's no maple seeds happening in November.
Yeah, maybe in Ontario, though.
Yeah, not so much out here. I'll have to cram in a bunch in the summer.
Kelly will win.
Probably. Probably.
So how did the maple seeds go?
Really well. The weather was fine for May is always risky in Alberta. Sometimes it snows and it can be, -5, -10 in May, but no, it was great. And 10Ds were great. ITs were solid. And it was a really good time. Both of them. I missed it, and getting into it, it's like, oh yeah, this is so good. This is so much fun.
It's so much fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm missing
and
it too.
That was really good.
Qualify?
Oh yeah, I requalified. So one thing that I think we talked about, instructors for maple seed, full patched, have to requalify each year. So I thought I can't take the ITs to dinner afterwards because you can't right now. So maybe we'll if we got some time left over and we're not totally worn out, let's do some rapid fire MQTs. So that's what we did. We did some rapid fire MQTs afterwards, and I thought I'll squeeze in requalifying in there too. And that's what I was aiming for, and to have some fun too, because I don't think any of them have maybe done the rapid fire MQTs, and they're I like them because they're I like pressure and trying to do the whole thing top to bottom in 4 minutes. Straight is.
Do you want to explain what an MQT is first? So there's a lot of people who probably haven't actually.
Yeah. So if you haven't shot a maple seed, that might be new to you. But an MQT, or maple seed qualifying target, or maple seed qualifying test, is a target. It's got 250 possible points on it, and for your hits, you can make 5 points or 4 points or 3 points or double that on stage 4. And the idea is that if you get 210 points or above, you score rifleman, and that's where you get like a patch and all this other kind of stuff with Project Maple Seed. So as part of being an instructor, you got to repatch each year, and that's why I wanted to shoot it in the rapid fire style because I like going fast.
Yeah.
I like to go fast.
I actually I don't mind in the rapid fire as well. It's just, yeah, I can qualify in either or. But if it's non-rapid fire, it takes a long time. You get 4 mags and you do the mag changes and all that. But with rapid fire, what we do is you load up or you prep 4 magazines and with 10 rounds each, and you do each stage and you just
crank through.
And, yep. And you have 4 minutes to do it.
Lots of time. Lots of time. Yep.
So on a regular MQT, the last stage is actually 5 minutes. So that's only one stage. Whereas if you're doing rapid fire, it's 4 minutes for the whole entire thing.
Yeah, with a regular MQT, you've got 9 minutes, give or take, from start to end to shoot the whole thing. So to shoot it in 4 with no prep time in between your different stages, you just have to like go from one to the other. Your prep time is your low. It's all in there as well. I like it though. I like the pressure. I like shooting fast. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what else?
Yeah, so did both of those. The Sherwood Park one, we had 5 of the 6 attendees patch out on that one. That was a really skilled group. Yeah. Oh, the instruction was super high quality, and they that's anyways, good group. My theory falls down when because the other one didn't get 5 people patched.
I was just gonna ask, how did the one on the Saturday go?
I didn't.
The same shit boss.
Yeah. Must have been the instructors. I don't know.
No, your instructors were good.
Yeah, they were fantastic. They were both really good. It was good to get back into the swing of things. And then I got my reg certificate for my Beretta 92S.
Yeah.
I got copies from the government does not know what they're doing. They must have reprinted a bunch of stuff because I got some of the stuff was printed on a regular paper. Some of it's on the fancy paper. Some of it was reprinted. Some of it wasn't. I don't know. I don't think they know what they're doing. But anyways, I got my cert, so I took that out shooting along with my NP22, and I'm working on a video comparing the P226 versus the 92, and that's part of it. Let's see. And I'm trying I tried a Vortex Spitfire 3X Gen 1. So Tom, who's a listener of the show and Maple Seed instructor as well, he's like, hey, I saw you reviewed the Spitfire 1X. Do you want to review the 3X? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So he sent me one of those. And then I was talking to another guy, and he's like, I've got the 3X Gen 2. Do you want to try that out? And I said, absolutely. So now I'm going to compare Gen 1 versus Gen 2 of the Vortex Spitfires, which should be pretty cool. And then I got a package in from Bullseye North. They sent me some stuff to review, like some MREs and that kind of thing. And they also sent me the cutest little Mosin. It's so small. It's so here. Let me turn my background off. So it's tiny and well made. Like there's some parts of it, like it's a real wood walnut stock. It's like the stock on it is really nice. I was showing my kids like, oh, it's a toy. I'm like, no, it's a gun. It's a gun. And they're like, no, it's a toy. Like, look how small it is. Like it fits me and all this kind of stuff. It's like, it's a gun, but it's, I'm glad it works for you. But a really neat little rifle, adjustable rear sight, front sight's kind of like what would you call it? Like a Mosin sight. But the company that makes these, they also make the Cricket rifle. Yes, Cricket rifle, which is another youth style rifle, right? So this is kind of like a youth style rifle, single shot. That is, if you want the rifle to look like another rifle, if you want it to look like a Mosin, it's super cute. It's so small and cute. It's like 2 pounds. It's so light.
You're gonna have the kids shoot it, correct?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we're gonna go to I think we're gonna go to the range this weekend. So like we got some more restrictions in Alberta now, but the range is still open. So I'm gonna take the kids out to the range and we're gonna shoot this thing. Like you just like throw the shells in there, and there's like a little ramp, and you just pop it in there, cock it every time, kind of like an old Cooey, right? Yep. And then we're off. So yeah, I think it'll be fun. This will be hard to shoot a maple seed with. Single shots. Yeah. It's kind of neat. And then I got a couple of Sig parts in the mail. One of them was a cheapo Sig holster. So like the Sig's too big to.
Here? I thought they were coming from China.
Yeah.
Okay.
Done. They're here.
Look at that. What do you think?
Kind of rattly in there. They're really a great fit, eh?
Mm-mm.
Holds it though. And I mean, it's easy enough to get on. Oh yeah, the grips are. I thought they were going to come from China. They came from Turkey. They look nice.
How's the texture?
What's that? Texture's fine. Texture's fine. That's not the problem though. The problem is the thickness of it. It adds so much. Look at that back now. It is just the thickest, chonkiest grip ever. If you have like massive hands, boy, fantastic deal.
Yeah. If you have dainty little hands like me,
or even normal sized hands, like before I could get to the mag release. Now I have to break the grip too. Like the whole thing with the Sig series pistols is like they're like you can reach everything with your thumb, and now I have to like break my grip to hit the mag release on this thing. So I'm probably going to put the what's that?
What size gloves do you wear?
Large, extra large. Yeah. Okay.
So it'd have to be an extra large at least hand.
You'd have to be big to need.
I'm talking. Grips. Yeah. I just needed to know how big the grips are.
Yeah, they add quite a bit of thickness. Yeah, I'll maybe while you're on, I'll throw one of the plastic grips back on just so you can see the difference. But big difference there. The holster, so it's like the Serpa style holster. I don't mind it. The press, when you press up here and you pull it straight back, your finger is just right along the slide there. So I think that's okay. I think that's all right. The actual like fit, I don't like how wiggly the 226 is in there. Like if I got one that's specific for a 226, it should not wiggle, or it should have like some adjustment somewhere on there to take the wiggle out. But it does come out like really cleanly and go in like there's no resistance to this thing going in there. It just goes in and locks. So that's all nice. The back of the paddle has a bit of like a smooth texture to it, so it should fit really nicely on the old thigh. It's kind of nice. Find out. I'll take it to the range too. I'm not going to take it with those grips though, because those grips are stupid. But I'll take it with something else.
So Adriel, you going to sell them right away?
The grips or the gun. I'm going to sell the grips with the gun. So whoever gets it, they're going to be able to pick whether they want to use that or not. I went out and I shot this 92S, and I thought that the sights were going to be a big issue for me because the sights are terrible. Like, look at that. The front sight there's like nothing there, and the rear sight nothing there either. It was fine. It was totally fine, and I actually really enjoyed the double action at 50 yards on like a steel plate. Just because it was actually like the double action on this thing so smooth. I'm empty here, and the double action, like you just pull right through it, and it's just a nice smooth pull as you go through it. Super easy to hit steel at long range with that nice long smooth pull, which is nice. I mean, like one of the cool things about buying like a surplus gun that would have been carried is that. I think I mentioned this on the show, but every day this thing gets loaded, decocked, popped into a holster. End of the day, unloaded, pull it out, decocked, put it away. So like the wear on it is real nice, and it's nice and smooth. Yeah. I accidentally rammed a 226 mag into this thing, and it ran just fine. It retained it just due to the fact that it was too big for the magwell, and I just rammed it home. But it fed the rounds just fine. It was all fine. Just worked.
Did it actually drop free?
No, the magazine didn't drop free. I had to like rip it out of there because like I get used to like reloads under match conditions, which are like get it in there kind of a thing, right? And you can get a Sig 226 mag in a Beretta 92. It's just kind of hard to get out afterwards. And it doesn't lock back either. No, that doesn't work. No.
What else?
I sold a 1022.
Yeah, what the heck is going on with that?
I got lots of 1022s. I had one that was like extra, completely extra, and completely surplus to my needs. And a guy I know was like, man, I need to find a receiver and a bolt, but I don't want a barrel. I got a barrel in the stock. I just need the rest of the stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, well, there you go. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, got that guy in the mail. Which is good. I need to get more guns out of my safe and make some more room for new stuff. I got so one of the guys on Facebook was mentioning that I think Al's Corner Store, they carry like Carlson stuff. So you had them send me out some catalogs. And they got they got like extension tubes and a bunch of like shotgun specific stuff, a bunch of stuff that's kind of hard to find. And the tubes are interesting because like there's some extension tubes that are hard to find, but then they also got like hard to find stuff like front sights, and they got some choke tubes for the Beretta that are kind of inexpensive. So I might order I've got that Browning A5, and the choke tubes are kind of hard to find for those. I kind of want like there's a style of choke. This is the wrong one, but I'll show it anyways. There's a style of choke that like goes beyond the edge of the barrel. And the advantage with those, you don't need a choke wrench. You just like twist them on by hand, right? And they're easy to change between stages at 3-gun, for example. So I might get some of those.
Oh, you brought up 3-gun.
Did I bring up 3-gun? Do you want me to keep bringing up 3-gun?
Easy to change that 3-gun. What's going on with 3-gun? With the
they had to cancel their May match as well. Boo. Yeah, but it'll be a month.
Okay.
Or so. I don't know. Yeah. Something like that. Anyways, I think I'm going to hit the range this weekend and shoot some 22s and eat some MREs with the kids because that's what they like. The MREs especially. They love the MREs.
I love MREs.
Yeah.
They're so cute. Yeah.
How about you?
I got something in the mail. Remember last time I wasn't on last week, but the week before I told you that I won something from the Canadian Rimfire Precision Series. So it came in the mail. It came from China and it got here in 6 days. Like, so this, did you see that?
Yeah.
It's the O light. And so I put it on my Glock and I actually love it. So let me turn it off here. So it has both the halogen and it also has a red dot on it.
Laser?
You can switch it. Sorry?
Laser?
Yeah. And you can actually, laser. Or you can use both, or you can use one. And it came with a whole bunch of stuff. So I want to show this. So in the box, it comes with, so that's your charger there. It's a USB charger, and it's magnetic, and you just flip it on, and it charged within an hour, which is great. It also comes with a Allen key and a bunch of other little shims and different things like that. It's fitted already to fit a Glock, but they send some extra parts or different things if you have something else you want to mount it to. Then the instructions. This is the best part. I thought it was perfect for guys because it's actually pictures. I thought, perfect. And it took me 30 seconds to install it on my pistol. It took me more time to get the pistol out of the pistol case than to actually install it. And it's super awesome. Like, let me see. Did I turn it off?
It's nice. So you should be able to use like just your right hand to turn it on or off.
Yeah. So it has, you can actually do it it's a side push basically. Mm-hmm. So it's actually where your thumb will be. So on and off, but underneath is where you can actually either turn on the flashlight itself, or you can actually turn on the laser. So I have it on both. All right. Anyways, cool. Love it. So I wanted to say thank you to the guys over at CPRS. CPRS. And also to Olight, who's the new sponsor for them. without them, I wouldn't have gotten some really cool stuff. So I'm going to go and take it shooting when the range opens, because it's not open now, or still.
Your ranges are closed?
Yeah, our ranges are closed.
Why?
Like for fair May, we cannot go to the range. We haven't been able to go to the range for 2 weeks.
Oh.
We're closed until...
That's so good.
Yeah, we're closed till the week or the Friday before the long weekend. So do you think they're opening? Probably not. I don't know.
Ours are open.
Yeah. Well, ours aren't. Thanks for rubbing it in. Anyways.
I think I'd go crazy if I can't hang out with anyone, can't do anything, but I couldn't go to the all I've been doing over the winter is going to the range.
Anyways. Yeah, well, no. We've had some of the ranges open some of the time, some of the ranges closed some of the time, and now it's every range is closed in Ontario right now. Even the outdoor. Because originally we had indoor just closed, outdoor now too.
Only the outdoor, the low risk stuff is the stuff they should leave, because otherwise people get desperate to do anything and then they get doing some real dumb stuff. They should leave the outdoor stuff, because the outdoor stuff is low risk, and yeah.
Archery in the backyard. Okay.
Take a look at the back of this and look at the difference between the wood and the wood and the plastic grip on this NP34. It's just too much. It's just way too much.
Hey, can you do a Dremel?
No, because the Sig series, look at the back of the grip and all the shit you'd have to do. And the thing is, you as you take away the material, this wood may not work. It might not be structurally sound enough to survive being that thin. So I think it's just I don't know. I'll just include it with the pistol when I sell it.
It's grips for guys with big hands. That's what it is.
I'll take pictures from the side only, and then I'll post that when I sell it. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. Do you have big hands? You know what that means.
You can run this. You can run this Sig.
Right. So because the ranges have been closed, originally I was supposed to be taking my black badge course next weekend. That got canceled because of restrictions. Mm-hmm. So it's been rescheduled. It's been finalized. I got the email yesterday or the day before that we are going to be holding it again. It's been rescheduled for June 11th to the 13th. So I am officially signed up again for black badge, and hopefully we will be.
Think it'll go forward in June 11th? That's pretty early in June.
Yeah, I know, but that's what they scheduled it for. So
it's such a tightrope trying to figure out which when to reopen stuff and when to plan for things, because boy, it's a pain in the ass to have to reschedule this stuff. And some of this stuff is hard to ranges like to schedule their stuff at the start of the year, their whole year, and to add in. Yeah, but maybe we'll cancel a bunch of stuff because of COVID, and you won't be able to do all the stuff you wanted to. Is kind of painful. Yeah,
I know. Totally understand. That's why actually my next thing is Maple Seed. Fuck it. I'm sorry, COVID. So we had some events that were scheduled and we've had to reschedule them. So I don't know what to say. I just wanted to say to the people that have signed up for these events, we're trying to keep you in the loop. And obviously, if it's been booked and if we are open, we will run it. If we're not, we will let you know. Not send a refund.
It's easy. If we can run it, we will. And if we can't, we won't.
Yeah. That's how it works. I keep getting emails. Are we going to do this? I'm going, it's scheduled for after. So hopefully, but if not, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, the other thing that's happened is actually we've finalized. So we had the deadline for the Ccfr Gunny Girl calendar that was on April 30th. And I just wanted you to know that we got bombarded this year. We got a lot last year, but we actually got triple the amount this year that we had last year. And last year we had a lot.
So submissions or
submission. Yeah, submissions, not calendars. So one, I didn't see you, and two, I didn't see Dave. So I wanted to say thank you. And but we had so many girls that we actually we've gone through the list a little bit. but it took us a few hours to go through them just because we had so many people. So it's we're still doing some planning around that, so we'll get in contact with people soon. But it took a while, and we had Kelly and basically the ladies from the women's committee. We all met and we had a couple of glasses of wine and went through the list. So it's really hard decisions because we have some really fantastic people applying. Well, not some, all of them are really fantastic. So anyways, that's it. That's all that I've done because our ranges aren't open. Yay. Upcoming events. Let's talk about that. Upcoming events are sponsored by TLS Alpha. It's a Canadian digital agency that works exclusively within the firearms vertical. They help with business processes, strategic planning, websites, e-commerce, and battling the stigma the industry carries with banks, merchant processors, and the social media. Right now, the social media is being
social media is what?
Being asses about people that do gun things.
Yeah, they have been for a while.
Well, yeah, I know. Gothic Line Armory, I just saw on social media, on Facebook, that Facebook wouldn't let them post an ad about a course that they're having. So I don't know if I should say this, but they posted it as if it was a job. They're looking for volunteers. It was awesome. Way to work the system. There you go. Anyways, but yeah, so go check out tlesalpha.com. Tell them we said hi. And there are no upcoming events because everything's canceled because of the Rona race. Basically, it's done.
True fact.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So hopefully things will be coming up soon. Want to talk about the news?
You bet. Right. This first one, I don't know how true it is because it's a Daily Mail, but Nerf guns will now be registered as firearms in one Australian state because they look identical to a prohibited weapon. Sounds very Canadian, but yeah.
Orange, red, and yellow.
Yeah. South Australians may need to register some models of Nerf guns as firearms because they look the same. Mm-hmm. Even though they're Nerf and they're bright red and stuff.
Yeah.
The one they're showing is a Nerf Mega Big Shock model. It looks nothing like any gun out there other than stuff that's on like Starship Troopers. Yeah. Apparently that's happening. So, that's more of the same for the Australians. They're probably used to how horrible things are going. This next one is kind of like more of what we already knew, but the gun blog is reporting that the Canadian military is picking the Sig P320 as its new pistol. But there is no official notice that they are. More, they're just like looking at the tech specs that are in there. It's like, oh, it's a P320. And they notice that like all the tech specs in there were just like, it's a P320. There's no Glock. There's no anything else in there. Their bid is basically just for the C22 modular pistol project. It kind of makes sense. The US is going to get the P320. It would be nice to just not have something different just for the sake of being different. The only other thing that might make sense is for us to get a CZ pistol just because they'll have local manufacturing very shortly. Maybe they'll make this Sig P320. Maybe they'll make a Canadian one. Probably not.
No.
Probably not.
No.
Anyways, that's the thing.
Yep.
And then this next one here is a little bit more worrying, but I think if you pay attention, you probably aren't surprised by this. But evidence shows that the Mounties kept at least a copy of the gun registry.
I think, so people are actually been talking about it a lot. I know Ian put out a video on it recently, but I think when you really think about it, of course, there has been copies, or they can actually backtrack it through registrations.
They're not supposed to have any, though. They were ordered to destroy them all.
But those registrations are also linked to your firearms license.
The old ones?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the old ones are. Like the old ones. Like if you bought like a Savage Axis, like before this got overturned in mid 2000s or something like that. like that registration certificate and that the fact that it got registered to you at some point in the past, that's not supposed to be something that's around anymore. They are.
I know they are.
They were ordered not to have it. I mean, this kind of comes back to they're probably going to get smacked on this eventually because it comes down to privacy legislation. Like you're not supposed to. If you look at GDPR and a lot of the directions of privacy that and the way it's going in you can only keep data for a certain period of time. And beyond that, you're just hoarding. And if you're just hoarding data for the sake of it, you're actually risking, you're increasing the amount of risk for no reason. Because what good is it to have a registration certificate of a rifle that someone owned 10 years ago when they could have sold it like 5 times over since then, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely a privacy risk. Definitely something that I would love to see the RCMP or one of these governmental bodies take some heat on, because they shouldn't have this data. They shouldn't have it anymore. It's not relevant. It's not going to help anything, but they're still hanging on to it, and they still use it once in a while, even though they were told not to and told to destroy all their copies. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they get nailed. Hopefully they get nailed. Imagine if I don't know, like the government had like a registry of like track racers, people who like raced motorcycles at tracks, and at some point they're like, hey, we're not going to do this anymore, we're just done with it, and they just like kept it. They were told like, please destroy all this stuff where it's not irrelevant anymore, it didn't help when we had it, and they just kept it around. Like the outcry would be huge. And yet here they have like all this data on 2 million Canadians that they shouldn't have anymore. It's not relevant anymore. They still know that we have PAL licenses. They still know at each of these people may have firearms. Yeah. So it's not helping anything. They could have bought like 100 firearms since the registry was the long gun registry was canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you talking about personal experience?
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. So it's silly that they have it. They shouldn't have it. They should have a data policy that says if we have data, like if it's 10 years, if it's 2 years old, it's out of date. It's probably not useful anymore. If you should and really, they're not saving any time on any investigation work. If they're going to show up to someone's house and raid them and seize all their guns or whatever they're going to do, they don't need to know which guns there are. They have to search the house or do whatever they're going to do anyways, presuming they have a warrant and they've gone to court to get it and whatnot. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's all I got to say about that.
And that's all I have to say about that. Right. Okay. Let's talk about the CCFR Legal Fund Challenge donations. There wasn't any that they posted, but they posted this one about Kent Cartridge, and I thought that we should actually talk about it. Mm-hmm. So from Kent Cartridge Canada, they said, today we were pleased to announce that we will be making a further donations to the CCFR's good work. $1 from the sales of every case of Fast Steel 2.0 that we ship to our dealers between May 1st and September 1st of this year will be donated to them. Fast Steel 2.0 is available at most retailers across Canada, so your support of our brand is directly supporting the good folks at the CCFR. So $1 from every case. That's awesome.
Fast Steel is like real decently priced too. It's not super expensive. I've used that stuff for goose hunting, and it's cheap. And they got like lots of their Fast Steel has like some decent stank to it, which I like. I always want more power.
More power.
Oh, more power.
You're good at that.
Outdated references.
What?
Outdated references.
Those too. You're good at that too. All right. Do you want to talk about the CCFR Legal Challenge?
You bet.
The fundraiser, not the one that we just talked about.
The Grey Birch fundraiser?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want a chance to win a Grey Birch Solutions limited edition SCLR, and it's limited edition because it's got the CCFR engraved into it. Go ahead and make a donation to the CCFR's Legal Challenge and then send us a photo of the donation. Hide your credit card details or whatever. We're not interested in that. We just want to know that you donated. Or visit our sponsor, DC Armory DC Gunsmith, and make a donation there, and you will get a chance to win one of those receivers and make yourself a Gucci 1022.
Yeah.
I had my Gucci 1022 out on the line for the Maple Seed, and a certain Ian might have ran my Gucci 1022, which has no Ruger parts.
Yeah.
It's got the BX trigger. Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking to him afterwards, and he said, I have to get in touch with Adriel because I apparently have to buy a lot of parts for my gun.
I spoil them with like the Gucci gun. So
yeah.
How much is that gun anyways? Oh, you don't want to know. If I was to build that right now, how much would that cost? Yeah. It's a little bit more than like a standard Ruger.
$2,000 parts or 2,000 parts on a $450 gun.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah, 3,000. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So we're going to do the draw on May 27th. Do we have some people that donated?
Yeah, we've got Ted M, Calvin M, Kevin S, and Bradley K, who have all made donations. They're all eligible now to win one of those receivers, which there's a couple of them. So you're not just fighting all over one. There's a couple. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to be talking about new gun stuff, and that's actually brought by Bolt Action Coffee. Slamfire Radio is now a brand ambassador for Bolt Action Coffee. The coffee is roasted in small batches and is actually some of the best coffee that you can buy right now, especially since it's made in Canada and roasted in Canada. And the guys over at Call Sign 66 are the owners of it. So just go over there and buy some. Go to boltactioncoffee.com and use the Slamfire as your discount code. All right. Bring us up to the new stuff and guns there.
All right. Let me share out my screen here. Let's take a look. So the first one is Spectre Ballistics have their C71 out. So there's a receiver for the 1022. They also got a kit that comes with their aluminum chassis if you want such a thing. Or you can buy them separately. Their C71, it's a 1022 receiver, integrated rail, and it takes the Tough 22 mags. So those are the extended magazines that you can get that are long boys. So that's the thing. You can get those at Mag Dump or Spectre Ballistics or something like that. The next one, more 1022 stuff. Rangeview Sports has got a couple of different 1022 parts available there. They have some tandem cross stuff, and they also have some gray birch stuff. So they've got the tandem cross Victory trigger, which is this cool flat face trigger. They've got the Advantage charging handle. The advantage there is that it's left side charging, like all guns that have reciprocating charging handles should be. Costs a little bit to make that happen, but advantage. And then they've got the gray birch Shrike bolt assembly and LDR receiver as well. I kind of want to get one of these Gucci bolts. I don't have a Gucci bolt. I've just got like a kid bolt, which is like old, passe. I need the Shrike Gucci bolt.
It's huge.
What's huge? The charging handle?
Yes, the charging handle.
Okay. Yeah, good. Just clarifying there.
Yeah, no, it's huge. All right.
And then they've got some.
Did you guys actually talk about they brought out their new chassis last week? Did you guys talk?
I didn't talk about the foundation. No,
let's bring that up because I want to talk about that. Or
here's the foundation with a very odd looking wood grip or whatever. Yeah, it's a 1022 chassis. It's got a folding stock on it. It's badass.
It is. You can do all kinds of cheek and weld adjustments, and you can, adjust the length of the bowl by. It's awesome.
Oh, look at that weird.
I know.
Wood polished grip they got on there. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, super lightweight folding stock that you can get. I like that they didn't use the. What's that?
And then I need to get one. Put the barrel and the receiver on it. If you go down to the picture that's down on the bottom, that looks pretty badass when you think about that. Take that to the range. People are going, "What is that?"
It's pretty spacey. Yeah. Pretty spacey looking. Like if I saw that on the range, I wouldn't know what the heck I was looking at.
Yeah. You'd be the talk of the town.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like the idea with the adjustments on there.
Yeah,
Like
me
how
too.
thin that buttstock is. That's really
I
cool.
wonder, does it have any information on there, like how much it weighs or any of that information?
Let's see. M-Lock and Arca compatible? What?
Mm-hmm.
Modular forend, magwell cutout, adjustable folding stock. Yep. There we go. Wait. 688 grams for the foundation. Length of pole is adjustable from 13 to 14.5 inches.
No.
Overall length 25 to 26. Length folded 16. That's a good fold there. That's because they're using a Picatinny connection at the buttstock. This is like the way to grow. So if you aren't running an AR and you don't have a buffer and a buffer tube and all that kind of thing, don't run a buffer tube. You run a pick rail at the back, and then you do one of these clamp-on deals, because this is what they use in the States for certain like pistols, like AR-style pistols, but without the AR buffer tube on them. It's lighter, it's trimmer. You look how trim and slim this thing is. You'd never be able to do that with a buffer tube. Yeah. And why have a buffer tube if you don't run a buffer and a spring there, right?
And this, I think they brought this out specifically so people can really be competitive in like the CRPS. And those
CRPS, because of the lightweightness of it too, it's probably decent for like race guns and that kind of thing too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
And the folding, I wonder, the fact it folds, man, it'll get really, really small with that. I wonder where it locks.
That's it. Anyways.
Cool.
Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah.
And then the next one is GoTenda had a bunch of like Gersan stuff on sale. And I noticed a couple of guns I didn't know that Gersan made. So I'm aware of the MC28 and the Regard. Their Regard is like their Beretta knockoff, which is actually pretty good. There's a buddy of mine that shoots a 3-gun at Chaz that ran one of those for the longest time. I got a whole bunch of other stuff here. So they've got like the MC9T Extreme. So that's their new 9mm. So their MC28 is their old one. Their MC9 is this newer one that's got like a kind of like a more angly, spacey kind of a grip on it. And then a couple things that looks to be improved. So that's kind of interesting. They cost a little bit more than the MC28, but maybe the price will go down. And then they've also got a bunch of the Regards. It looks like their Regard is being renamed to the MCR9. But their Regards are still like decently priced. There's some Regards for like $440. This is like, I was thinking, like, if you wanted to a Beretta 92 style action, the 92Ss are okay at $400, but I think the Regard might be a better overall gun for $40 more, because you get like a proper mag release, and you get like some more of that stuff going on with this one, rather than that stupid heel release. Yeah.
You were talking about it. You were talking about it. You were talking about it last week. You said, just go for the Gersan.
Yeah, but they got like 1911s. I didn't know that they had like 1911 style pistols. I don't know if I'd be like into that, because for like $600 you're getting a like I'd imagine this is like a mediocre, like a middling 1911. It's not going to be the best stuff out there. So
but if you're searching for something and you want something that's entry level and cheap,
well, the Norenkos are cheaper though.
Yeah,
you can get into a Norenko for quite a bit less than that. Maybe if you want to get like something that's not Chinese, if you're trying not to buy Chinese stuff, then maybe that's the way to go. Anyways, that's stuff I found that was new in guns this week.
That's awesome. Thank you. All right. So let's get into the main topic. So for tonight's main topic, we have Damian Pittman from Punisher Waterfowl on tonight. We just wanted to actually, we wanted to talk about waterfowling. It's going to be coming up. So it's a pleasure to have Damian on. Hi, Damian.
Hey, how are you guys? Thanks for having me.
This is exciting. Two guys.
It is exciting.
So why don't you tell us about you yourself? How you got into waterfowling, and what you do, and then we'll also talk about Punisher Waterfowl, how you founded that as well.
Okay. Wow. So me, originally from a small town on the west coast of Newfoundland. That's where, I'm guessing like most of your listeners at a young age, your friends, that was the thing that you done. You got guns and you went out and you went hunting, and it was a social activity more than anything, right? Way before I was legally allowed to carry guns, I was, hunting birds and puddle jumping birds and stuff, I really done that growing up in Newfoundland, and then joined the army and moved away and got away from it. Got away from having guns and waterfowl hunting and stuff, and traveled around Canada and posted around and stuff. I came back from Afghanistan in 2007, and I got posted to New Brunswick at the time, leaving Ontario, going into New Brunswick. And a good friend of mine.
I just have to say.
What's that?
God's country. It's God's country.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. I loved it down there. We loved it there. But a good buddy of mine was in the hunting birds, and he sort of got me back into it again. And of course, it was weird, in Newfoundland. Nobody had decoys, nobody had calls, nobody wore camo. It was, just puddle jump and try and shoot some birds. There wasn't a whole lot of strategy put behind bird hunting. It was more fluke. And then, I get to New Brunswick and started learning the ropes. And of course, then comes the decoys and the calls and all the gear, right? So, banged around New Brunswick for a while, shooting birds, then got posted back to Petawawa, Ontario. And what I found, and this is how Punisher Waterfowl came to be, is that my buddy and he had got posted in from Alberta, another bird hunter. And what we found is that we couldn't get any permission on any property around Petawawa because, nobody knew us. And we were a couple of army dinks, right? And that's what the community looked at us as, because there were so many army people that had come in the past and had screwed up a farmer's field or left a mess or, did something that really upset the landowner, right? So when myself and my buddy Cal come knocking on the door, they didn't know who we were. They didn't know us from Adam. And so we had no permission. So one night I'm sitting around and I'm trying to figure out, how in the hell am I going to get to hunt some birds? And I said, I know what, I'm going to make a fake Facebook page.
Okay.
And I'm going to name it Punisher Waterfowl. And I'm going to pretend to be someone important in the waterfowl. Not even close. But so that's what I done. I went to my wife and I said, hey, I need $150 to get a logo made. And she was like, you got to meet my wife first off, because she shakes her head every time I ask her for money. So she said, yeah, whatever, go. Yeah. Okay, go. So I take the $150. I get a logo made. And I call it Punisher Waterfowl, and I start a Facebook page. And next thing you know, guides start messaging me. Hey, why don't you come out for a hunt with us and put us up on your social media and stuff like this? So, which was great. The plan worked. I'm now getting out and I'm hunting. But then those guides and those people started. So what is Punisher Waterfowl?
Yeah, what is it?
Oh shit. I don't have anything. This is all a big ruse, right? So what do? So I start making some hats and some t-shirts and some merchandise, do that. Then I get into with a company out of the States called Banded, who were up and coming, Chad Belding and those guys. I get in with those guys and I start selling their gear, which you can understand is extremely hard to try and compete with Cabela's and all the big box stores, right? So that was short lived, but an amazing relationship with that company. They were awesome. And then I said, well, you know what? Maybe I'll make my own gear. So I reached out to a veteran-owned business, and they could make decoy bags and all this stuff. So I started, going that way. But again, in Canada, I'm not doing a whole ton of bulk sales, so it was hard to turn a profit. I was making a quality product, but it was hard to be competitive and make money, right? So
when you can get the stuff over at Cabela's,
and just as good in quality, right? Because if you were willing to pay the extra, they had the the generic stuff.
Like that's cool logo.
Oh, thanks. So and that's where it sort of kind of gets to today. So I took a partner on about 2 years ago, Dave Palmer. He came on, joined me, and really just a fresh new set of ideas and someone to look at things a little bit differently, right? Because obviously I have the blinders on and the way I want to look and want the company to grow. And it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. So Dave joined in and then, one day I said to him, you know what? I think I'd like to do a podcast. And he was like, yeah, I think you should do a podcast. And I was like, okay, so
that's why you're out here.
And this is where no, there's not. And in Canada, even more so, even less in Canada, right? So that sort of kind of brings us to where we are today and the podcast. And now I'm trying to do my best to spread and to try and educate people, not so much on how to waterfowl, but how to be a decent human being to other people, because that is what I see the most in the hunting world right now, is that it's just nothing but bullies. And if you don't know the answers to a specific question, well, then, I should treat you like you're a dummy because you don't know. And we're seeing it a lot, and we're being our own worst enemies. So I use the platform, and I'm a big proponent of surrounding myself with great people. So on my podcast, I've got some really smart, educated, great hunters, and they all got their own little piece that they bring to the show. And my part is I just, I try to say it how it is. And
so one of the things that you actually said right at the beginning is that you were knocking on doors and they didn't know you from anybody, but you're saying you're trying to educate people. And that's one of the things that we should be doing. If we're going to go and actually hunt on somebody's land, knock on the door, it's a great thing to do.
Yeah.
But just overall, so you're a podcast. I know that you YouTube as well. You do live videos. I watched some of them. You have branding, great branding, by the way. And you know what? You guys are getting some content out there here in Canada. And I know that the US is actually, there's people in the US looking and that as well. So it's great. So the reason why we wanted you on tonight is we did want to talk about waterfowling, because I went out for my first time last year, but I didn't have a dog and didn't. I had Kelly's husband go and retrieve the ducks for me. So that was awesome.
Yeah, that's even better.
Anyways, so I have very little experience, and I know that Adrian and I talked about it, and we said it's one of the things that's missing in the show. And as you said, in Canada as well. So let's get you on and let's talk about those. So let's get into waterfowling. What exactly is waterfowling?
So really it's just that hunt of geese. You probably can't see it behind me, but I can try and turn it, but there's the list of all the waterfowl that's in North America. Actually, Delta Waterfowl just announced yesterday there's a new species that's being added as of yesterday called the Mexican duck. So that one they just made that announcement yesterday. Yeah.
Make it into tacos? I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah. Well, so for years it's been described as a hybrid of the mallard, but now through genetics and obviously when I read the article, someone's put a lot of money and time into figuring out about this duck, but it is its own species. It's not not necessarily just a hybrid of the mallard, but so anyways, so it's no different than the big game hunters and chasing moose and elk and bear. It's just we're chasing ducks, geese, crane. In the States, there's some places where they hunt swan. We don't in Canada. We don't have that. We don't have that limit. But in the States, there's a couple states that they do allow it. So really, yeah, the waterfowling, it's chasing those ducks and geese that you see around.
Yeah, and it's not as easy as you'd think it is. I went the first time and I went, wow, this is not easy.
Well, it's not easy, but I think it comes down to managing expectations too, right? So the problem with the internet and YouTube and TikTok and all these is that people only show the shots when they're hitting a bird or when a bird's falling out of the sky, right? They don't show the other 4 hours of missing the birds or no birds coming in. All you see is the exciting part, right? So for a new waterfowl hunter or any hunter in that matter, when you're watching videos and they've got a high tempo music playing and you're getting you excited and getting the adrenaline running and all you're seeing is birds fold and fall into the sky, fall out of the sky, then, and then you go set up and you go out and it's in November and it's cold and rain is coming in sideways and you don't see any. And
nothing shows up.
Yeah, this sucks. This isn't fun at all.
That was my first experience and nothing showed up and it was raining. Second experience I was able to get a few, which was great. But
we joke about it all the time. Like your first experience is probably the most true to what a waterfowl experience is.
Nothing.
Yeah, which is
fishing.
Nothing.
It's like fishing. You go fishing and sometimes like there's nothing. You're just getting started. You go to some lake and you don't catch anything. But you get to know where the good spots are and you get to improve your technique and you start getting more reliable results, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? Any day out and hunting and even going for an armed walk is great. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing is that people need to understand it's any day out. So especially in this crazy world that we're living in right now, any day that you could be out in nature and taking in and you don't even need to look at it as though I enjoy the sound of the birds or the frogs and stuff. The vitamin D alone is healthy enough for you. Just to be out and have some fresh air is all you need, right? So, and I think that's what we're seeing more and more now, especially in the hunting world, is we're seeing more and more of those. I would call them those late teens to early 20-somethings that. It's something that they're missing in their life now is they need to get out. They need to have a purpose to be out. And what we're seeing and what we're hearing right now in the waterfowling world is that there's been a big dynamic shift in these people that, typically didn't grow up in a hunting family or even been around guns or educated in guns whatsoever. But now the enticing part is that they know where their food is coming from. And that's why they're out hunting, is because they know what they're eating. And which is amazing for the sport and everything, right? Because now that's an entirely different group of people that's starting to learn and
with the COVID pandemic, actually, we've seen an upsurge in hunting licenses as well. You can get them online and then they're going out and they're sourcing their own food as well. So yeah, it's great. So why don't you tell us about what people okay, so we talked about what to expect, getting wet and hearing frogs. But what's somebody going to need to go out for their first time? So
So when I take somebody out for their very first hunt, the first thing I make sure is that they're going to be warm. Because at the end of the day, if you're miserable, cold, wet, you're never going to come back again, because it just sucks, right? So I would say to anybody, the first thing before you buy anything, make sure you have some quality gear. And there's a lot of quality gear out there right now. We use First Light, but there's a number of other companies out there that's creating, and the technology with clothing has just gone crazy over the last.
Keep you warm.
Yeah. So I would say the clothing, and you guys know this even more so than what we do, and that is finding a gun that fits you, which was such. Like when I started hunting, like that wasn't a term that was used to me. I took my grandfather's old single shot Cooey and went out, and if I missed, there was no fitting a gun to the person. You guys know it, and your listeners know it all too well. But what we find is that there's a lot of people. Hey, what kind of gun do you think I should buy? Listen, the only way to know is to go into a gun store and talk to the owner and shoulder it and see how it feels, and right. So that would be, and calls and decoys and all that stuff. Listen, don't go out and bust your bank account on decoys and calls and stuff like that. Take your time.
Okay, so you said that you take people out. So if I was going out for the first time, there's no way in hell that I would know what to bring. So you can typically do that. You can typically find somebody in your area that'll take you out that has the decoys, the calls, and everything.
Yeah. So what I find, especially here in Ontario, and actually I shouldn't say just here in Ontario, because I know it happens out west too, is all of these Facebook groups now, these hunting Facebook groups. We have seen a ton of new hunters come on these Facebook groups and ask for advice and say, hey, listen, new to the sport this year. This is where I am. Anybody got any advice? And it's an open-ended question. And what we tend to see is that there's always a couple of people that'll be like, hey, listen, you're in my area. Why don't you come out with me? I've got all you need to do is just bring your thermos of coffee and your gun and ammo and come out with me, and we can hang out and probably foster a long-term relationship at the end of it, right? And which is the ultimate goal. But yeah, there's always somebody. I think there's always somebody around that you can piggyback off and learn. But if you are in that unique situation where you're in an area all by yourself, and you have no help, and you have to do it on your own, have some warm kit, have a gun that fits you, have some ammo, and then you're going to do trial by error, because that's the only way you're ever going to learn this sport is by trying something, failing at it, and then, because even though we know that the brain on the duck is the size of a pea, they'll outsmart us every time. Time.
Okay. So one of the things I learned was this. You can be dressed in head to toe from camo, but you still need to actually cover your face, because those little buggers are smart. So you can see that. But they're keen to movement and everything as well. So why don't we talk about, we'll come back to equipment, but where should you actually be in relation to? Should you be in a duck blind? Should you actually have something set up? What can you do to actually keep them from seeing you as they come in?
Yeah, so you can have, like you said, you can be totally dressed up in all the camo that you want. But if you're doing it from a boat, you can have all the camo but if your boat isn't hidden, then the ducks are going to see you. You need to totally incorporate into the environment, right? So your boat. So, before I go, I have a couple landowners that have cattails on their property, and the night before I go up to their place and I cut, enough cattails that when I get out to where I'm going to hunt, I can cover my entire boat in cattails. And I look like a big bush of cattails. And that's what you need to do. Be it from a lay down blind that you're in the field.
Yeah.
If you're in a cornfield, you've got to try and make your layout blind look as close to that swath of cut corn as you possibly can. Plus, you've got to try and eliminate the shadows as the sun comes up, because the geese, they'll notice those shadows and they're like, whoa, something's not right here. This isn't right. This doesn't look kosher. So we're not going to go in there. So you really, they are
for a little pea brain.
Yeah, and they're products of their environment, right? Like they survive by noticing what looks at a place. And if you look at a place, well, then they're not going to come in. And so you bring up the point about your face. Like I see people that, put the face paint on and stuff like that. And that's great if that's what you want to do. I've done 20 years in the Army, and having to put that stuff on my face, I absolutely refuse to do it anymore. So, but I use, if I don't use that turkey mask that I've got, I'm like this for most of the point. My face is down, and I'm sort of trying to edit a corner of my eye. One of the biggest mistakes, and I do it, my buddies make fun of me all the time because I just get excited, especially at the beginning of the year. But birds are coming, and I'm like this. I'm in the blind, and I'm watching, and here's this bright white shiny face just sticking up and moving all over the place, and it flares birds. So you really do. You've got to, of all of the time and effort you spend in your gear, your gun, your ammo, your boat, getting out to chase the birds, that is all for nothing if you spend no time trying to hide yourself. Because if you don't hide yourself, all that gear is just going to sit there, and you're not going to get any birds.
So boats, blinds, anything like that, you have to incorporate yourself into the situation, whatever it's. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. So there is and you can get all kinds of different things. You can build your own blind. You can actually go to Cabela's. We're not sponsored by Cabela's, but we're talking about them a lot tonight. Yeah. And buy cheap ones and the lay down and all kinds of things like that. But let's say we've got ourselves covered and we're dressed completely and we're watertight too. We're going to be in layers and we're going to be warm. So what type of, so you said the firearm has to be fitted to, but what types of calibers are best to do waterfowling? What types of chokes, different things like that?
Yeah. So traditionally you always see that 12 gauge shotgun, right? That seems to be the tradition that everybody's, but what we're seeing, especially here in Canada, is that we are seeing a very, very popular, the 20 gauge. So, and I think what happened is that a group of women started hunting and because of the less recoil of the 20 gauge, they started shooting the 20 gauge. Well, then I think their boyfriends, their husbands tried it and then noticed, whoa, my follow-up shot is so much better.
Yeah.
Oh, my screen just went all wonky, so I don't know what's going on there. I'm sorry. So then the men borrowed their wives or their girlfriends' shotgun, and then they were like, whoa, my shooting is way better. My follow-up shot is way better. The payload and the stopping power of the 20 gauge is still just as good as what the 12 gauge is. And you're able to, get that other shot. So traditionally I'm still shooting the 20 gauge. I will shift down to I'm still shooting the 12 gauge. I will drop down to a 20, maybe next year when I'm in line for a new gun. But yeah, and it could be, a single shot, which is what I started off with. And then I graduated to a pump, and now I'm with a with a semi, and I use a gas operated gun as opposed to an inertia driven gun. But it'll come down to what your budget is.
Yeah.
Because,
if somebody didn't have a budget, let's say they actually, a beginner basically, because let's say, as I said, people are asking about this stuff, and that means they're pretty much beginners. So out of the three of them, so obviously single, you can't have an actual follow-up shot, but out of single, you've got pump and you have a semi. Which would you? So what should a beginner basically buy?
So there's nothing wrong with a beginner going out and buying a semi-automatic, because it's like anything, Kelly, and you guys know it as well. You need to get comfortable with the firearm, right? So the first time you shoot that firearm shouldn't be in the duck blind, right? You should have taken that and went, out on a range or in the back 40 somewhere and practice with it and know the safety, how the safety works, all of that good stuff, right? So there's nothing wrong with going, and you can get a quality semi-automatic shotgun for, for $1,200-$1,400, a quality gun too, and that's not crazy. Now, if you can't afford it, then drop down to a pump action, which is a little bit cheaper, and still, for a beginner, it's great. But at some point in your career as a waterfowler, you will want to upgrade up to that semi, because it just gives you a little bit quicker cycling time and able to drop those shots, right?
Yeah, you mentioned that you use gas operated semi.
Yeah.
Why did you go for a gas instead of inertia? Speed?
You know what? So I'm a creature of comfort, and so I've always used gas operated guns in the Army, and I'm not afraid of a gas operated gun, right? So I know how they work. I know that you need to clean them, but you don't need to clean them as much as what everybody says you do. You know what I mean? So I was happy, when people said to me, "Oh, you're crazy buying a gas operated gun. It's going to freeze up on you," and something. I'm like, I've been using a gas operated gun for 20 years. I've never had one freeze up on me. So I don't know what you're doing with your gun, but I know mine, I look after them. And the price was right.
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately I still have a budget on anything that I buy, and the price was right for the gas operated gun. And it was, a quality gun that I could afford, and I was happy with it.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay,
cool.
so let's
a little bit less recoil too, right? Because they're tapping a little bit of that gas off to run the action. Yeah.
So calling birds in.
Ooh.
Dog calls.
Yeah. You know what? That is an absolute art. And it is an absolute art. And I'm not great at it. I'm still learning how to use a goose call. And just a little plug in here for my own YouTube channel is that we're working with probably the best goose call maker in Canada right now. His name is Rusty Heron down in southwestern Ontario, and he makes probably the best call in Canada right now. So we're doing a 10-part series on how to learn to use a short reed goose call. So I'm learning along with the listeners of the Punisher Waterfowl channel, right? So, but it's an art, because you got to know when to call, when not to call, and you've got to be able to judge the birds. And again, this comes from experience, right? Like, you're not going to walk out into your blind the first day, and you could sit behind the computer and you can be a great caller. But when you get out in the field and you see the way that the birds are working, you can be a great caller all you want. But if the birds aren't responding to calls that day, well, just put your calls away, because there are days like that when they just won't respond, or they'll come and land into your spread of decoys, and you have no idea they were even coming, because they're making zero sound to just come in, they drop. And so, calls, I'm a big fan of less is more. And people, can debate that with me all they want. And that's the beauty about about this is that there's no magic wand that'll fix everything, right? Everybody's got their own way of doing things and their own way of things that work for them, right? So when it comes to, you can have your duck call, you can have a single read, a double read, there's a triple read out there, and that's really just, changing the sound. And again, people will say, what should I get for a duck call, or what should I buy for a goose call? There's only one way. You've got to try them.
Okay. So Kelly Kincaid's actually just asked, is there one that's better for women?
What's that? A call?
Yeah. So a goose call. Might be
goose call. I'm a big fan of the KISS rule, and do you know the KISS rule? Keep it simple, stupid.
Stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of that, right? And a short read goose call that requires not a ton of air pressure. I think that's the way to go. And that works for men and women. I don't want to say that it's strictly to women, because listen, there's women that can bring in a pile of air into their diaphragm and can, blow out that air better than some men. Right. So the sex really doesn't matter.
Her comment is she's scaring them all away. So maybe she.
Oh, that's just because Kelly can't call. That's all that is. Fine.
All right, there you go, Kelly.
Hey, Kelly. No, but seriously, and you know what? Like Kelly is, if she's doing it, maybe this is where being able to read the birds. Maybe Kelly's a great caller, but as the birds are coming in, maybe Kelly is honking when she should be clucking. And that's such a weird statement to make. And when I see, as soon as I say that, you start, yeah, you know what I mean? But as you're reading these birds, and if you're watching a goose and you're watching, 3 or 4 geese come land, you'll hear the difference in their sounds. And if you're being very aggressive on your call and being very loud and aggressive on your call, but they're just, from a mile out, you've seen them coasting and they're coming in. Well, you don't need to be aggressive. They're coming. Just put your call down and enjoy the show. Watch them do their work and see them do what they had planned to do a mile ago.
Okay. What about decoys? You did talk about a little bit from, you have the bags and you bring them all out. So what do you need for decoys? Like, how many do you need? Where should you be spacing them? Like,
so
decoys, like,
well, yeah, I think that you should use decoys. I never put out more than, say, 3 dozen decoys, like duck decoys. Now, if you're getting into goose hunting, obviously it's big spreads, and especially like if you're out west, like you need massive spreads out there, just because the volume of birds out there is just so much more than what they are in this part of Canada, right? So you need to have like thousands out, right? Especially if you're chasing snow geese and stuff like that. But here, if I'm a big fan of puddle ducks, which is, your mallards and your teals and stuff like that. Those are the ones that I chase the most, as opposed to, say, divers that's out in, the big water like Lake Ontario, Lake Erie and those places. But yeah, you just, I don't know, like there's a whole, how can I say this? You can only, when it comes to introducing something new to a sport, so let's, like guns, I know you guys know, but so let's say when the plastic decoy came out, and it was, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Look how light it is, and the painting on it looks awesome. And you can only improve the paint and the plastic so much. So now people are saying, well, now we're going to, they call it flocking the head. So the head actually looks like it's feathers and hair and stuff. I don't believe in spending that kind of money on decoys that it's like, I'm hard on my equipment. My equipment gets thrown around. It is abused. It's abused for 4 months out of the year. So I don't spend crazy amounts of money on my decoys. I'm still using decoys I've been using for the past 7-8 years. And I still shoot birds over them. So you can go out, you can certainly go out and spend some serious money in decoys. But my best advice is know where you're hunting. And if you're in an area that doesn't have a huge ton of birds, well, why would you go out and spend $1,000 on decoys? This is the thing. And it's like everything. It's like shooting sports. It's like hunting big game. Listen, know your geographical area, know what you're working with. And then that will dictate how much money you spend and what kind of gear. Like, there's no need of going out and buying foam-filled divers if you're never going to be on Lake Ontario. If you're just going to be in small little lakes in Ontario, well, then buy some puddle ducks. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. What about dogs? Do you have?
Now
dogs, some don't. What are the advantages of a dog?
So you know what? I hunted for a long time without a dog. And I've hunted a ton with people with dogs. So 2 years ago, I bought my dog. I bought it off a really good friend of mine, just north of Kingston. And as much as I love shooting birds, it's a close second now to me just being out and having my dog with me and letting somebody else shoot as I work the dog. And my dog is still young, so she's still not able to do it all on her own. So for the first week, 2 of the season, I don't even take my gun with me. It's just me and the dog, and I just work the dog and make sure that the dog is being safe and doing what it's supposed to do. But it is a definite game changer to have that pup and for that dog to be able to do the work for you, because as much as you think you're doing the work, you're not. Your dog is the one that's doing the work. You're just pointing the gun at a bird and dropping it. The dog is the one that's got to swim out in that frigid cold water and do the work. So it is a game changer. And even if you don't want to own a gun, even if you don't want to own a dog or you don't have that ability to own a dog and to train, go out with someone with a properly trained gun dog, because it's a totally different appreciation. And you know what? And we're seeing it. We're seeing more and more dog trainers coming out now. I was just today, outside of Belleville doing some dog training with some field trial guys. So some very, very educated, smart people with regards to dog training. And I brought my dog and I think they spent more time trying to train me as opposed to training the dog, because I was making all kinds of mistakes. Like my dog, she didn't do a couple of things properly. And I'm like, man, I wonder why she did that. And they said, well, it's your fault. Well, what do you mean it's my fault? Because you didn't do this and you didn't do this. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, I've got a super, super smart dog with a huge drive to want to retrieve and to please me. But 90% of the time when she screws up, it's because I never set her up for success. Yeah.
That's what it's like in life.
Yeah.
All right. You said it was basically your mistake. Let's talk about rookie mistakes. What are some of the rookie mistakes that you've seen people do or you've actually made? So what's some of the biggest mistakes with waterfowling? So
first off, especially in today's age, is trying to be something that you're not. And the reason why I say this is because of social media and this instant gratification of being popular or making that, we see it a lot of people saying, yeah, shot this, look at this beauty duck, shot it at 80 yards. Listen, that's a fair poke with a 12 gauge shotgun, 80 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Like your chances of wounding that duck and it going off and dying and you never ever retrieving it. So I think that there's a maturation there. There's an evolution of. So Rob Foote, who's a good friend of yours, Kelly, Rob Foote actually talked to me about this, and he calls it the evolution of the waterfowler, and it is very much, the grassroots as a teenager. First, when you're getting into it, it's just the love of the sport and being able to get out there and you're with your buddies and you're just having fun, and then comes. Well, I need all this gear. I got to go buy all this gear. And the only way I'm going to be successful is by spending all this money and having all this top notch stuff. And then, you shift then to, well, now I'm an expert. I'm an expert and they just start reaching out to companies. Well, now I should be a promotional staff for you. And now it's all, what can you give me because I'm so awesome of a hunter. So you should give me free stuff. I'll promote your brand. And then it graduates to where, gentlemen like Rob Foote, myself, my buddies that I hunt with, now it's come back full circle to the very first. It's just about being out with your buddies and having fun. So rookie mistakes that I made was, not asking the landowner for permission before you went out onto his property. That, one of the biggest mistakes that you'll ever make, because, I seen a thing on Facebook the other day. It showed a farmer with it showed the pallet of seed, and it was $10,000 worth of seed on a pallet. And it wasn't a lot of seed. And so the title was that this farmer had just had to drop $10,000 in seed because ATVs had ruined his field, right? Mm-hmm. So, this is a livelihood of someone. We're, as hunters, and despite what everybody thinks, and they say, well, it's our right to gather food and all this stuff. Yeah, I get it. I understand where you're coming from, but at the end of the day, you're trespassing on somebody else's livelihood. And you're possibly going to ruin it, or you don't know what that landowner is doing on his property. You don't know where he's at any given time, right? So that, I would say, the biggest mistake, and listen, I was a 17-year-old kid as well, and thought I was bulletproof and could do what I wanted, and no one could really say anything to me, right? So I made all those mistakes, and there's a maturation out there for hunters and stuff that we really need to try and speed up this maturation. And I think that shows like this and the education and people actually saying, listen, you can't do that. You're being a bonehead for doing stuff like that. And that will make people rethink their choices. And I think that's the beauty about these shows right now. The social media is weird, because you get some people that just want that instant gratification. I'm famous. My picture now has been seen by 10,000 people, and I've got all these followers. Yeah, that's great, but you pissed off the landowner. You shot 2 birds over your limit to get that picture. So. Yeah, the rookie mistakes, and just trying, I guess, to get back, trying to be something that you're not, because don't pretend to be. There's very few people that can make a career out of being a hunter and being a sport shooter or anything like that. And those people, you see them today and they're rich and they're famous, but you didn't see the 20 to 30 years that they plugged away. So there's a way to go about it, and it comes through hard work. Nothing comes overnight, and expecting overnight success, I think that's a huge rookie mistake.
One of my thoughts on rookie mistakes is thinking that it's going to be easy and thinking that you're going to actually walk away with 30 ducks. But also, we talked about that at the beginning, but It's not really a rookie mistake. Maybe it's a pro tip. Go find somebody who actually is willing to share. Like, for example, you. I was blessed to actually have 2 people that took me out for my first time, and I wanted to say thank them. I should give them a shout out in the shout outs. Anyways, but find somebody like Rob Floyd or Damian Pittman, and go and find somebody who can actually give you those pro tips, like go and knock on a door. And actually, if you do get a bird, go and drop one off to the guy that who's landed us. But yeah, just be humble and try it out. Have fun with it and accept the fact that you may get wet and it might be cold and you might not get nothing, but at least you're outside and you're having some fun, right?
Yeah. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said be humble. Because I honestly think that is the key right there. Be humble. And you'd be surprised on how far that'll get you in life.
Yeah. So I have Adriel, do you got any other questions for Damien?
No, I think it's been a really good conversation. I mean, I think like some hunting is kind of tough to get into, and taking someone that is really good. I think the tips around like doing those small puddles is good, because it's easy enough to get some teals or whatever over some small puddles compared to doing geese in a field where you need like a ton of camo and a ton of decoys and that kind of thing.
That's right.
And it's been a really good conversation.
Well, Damien, do you want to plug Punisher Waterfowl? Where can we get in contact with you? Where can people get a hold of you? Where can they see you? By that.
Yeah. Well, you can follow us on Instagram. On Instagram, Facebook's our 2 social media channels that we spend the majority of our time. Podbean, Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, all our podcasts are all up on that. You can search Punisher Waterfowl. You'll find us, and reach out to us, because just like this here, Kelly and Adriel, like reach out and ask the questions, because that's ultimately what we're here for. And I promise you, nobody within Punisher Waterfowl is going to say, "Oh, you bonehead, why are you asking that question?" Because I can guarantee one of us have had the same question, right? Yeah. So we are a very, very humble bunch of people. So that's where you can find us. Our podcast called the Union 0430. It's out there. I think it's probably, and of course I'm a little bit biased, I think it's the most down to earth, real podcast that's out there. There's nothing hidden. We don't pretend to be anybody. We are exactly as advertised. Just a bunch of friends that love one another's company. And and we're lucky, we've had a major company out of the States, out of Ohio, called Real Geese. They've jumped on now. They love the show, loved it so much that they now sponsor it. We've got another business out of the States that we're working on, that they want to become part of the show now. So it's growing. The brand is growing. And the audience is growing. And that's the most important thing, because now we're seeing more of that younger generation that are new to it, that are starting to pick up on the lessons and trying to be humble. And we're getting some of that older generation that chimes in now to give their expertise on, listen, this is how you talk to a landowner. This is the thank you give the landowner at the end of the season. Do you know what I mean? So we're getting a lot of those seasoned veterans coming in now and talking to us and saying, hey, listen, don't forget to do this. Check this. Make sure you got everything that's required by law. Like, double check. You have no idea how many times me and my buddies go out and we're walking to the car and someone will go, "Where's your duck stamp?" And because it's happened, we've went out and we've left the wallet in the drawer or whatever. So, it takes a village to make it happen. Right. So, and that's really what the brand is all about. It's really just a brand of a bunch of friends that love one another company and just wants to hunt. And you can reach out to me either way. My name, you can search me on Facebook, Instagram, the brand, and reach out, and I will do whatever I can to help you. And if you're not in this area, I do know a lot of people across this country, and I could put you in contact with someone that's probably pretty close to you that could help you out on your first duck hunt. So
awesome.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Really thank you so much. This is my first interview. I'm excited.
Great. But seriously, I went hunting last year, had such a great time, but every time, okay, I don't know if we're still doing the interview or not, but here's the story. So my thoughts on everything, it's just like when I go to the shoot skeet, I want to hit everything, and I want to just, hit everything. And the ducks will sit still. I'm hitting them all. I want to get it. But it's a learning experience. And as I said, you have to be very humble. But walking away with 2 ducks on technically it was my second, but there was ducks actually on the second one. But walking away with 2 ducks, I'm going, yeah!
Well, you've done better than me. With
a 28 gauge too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
nice.
Actually, I love shooting a 28 gauge. I shoot at skeet with it too, and it's the perfect gun for me. It fits me great. Yeah. So that's why I took it.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, that's awesome. Like, and you've done better than I did on my second duck hunt, because I think I was skunked for at least the first half dozen, so it's awesome. You get out and you come home and, you fry that. And that's what I do with my duck. I fry it up in a frying pan, and it's the best.
Yeah, I had somebody smoke it and do apple cherry butter on it. And it was
that's too fancy.
But anyways, again, thanks for coming on. Really, really appreciate it.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much. And reach out. And if you ever want me back on again, I'd be more than happy to come on and chat with you guys again.
We can talk about all kinds of things.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do a dog specific show. I love dogs.
So yeah. And so my buddy that I bought my dog off is he's forgotten more than I'll ever know when it comes to dogs. And he's just a local guy and would be a great source.
Why don't we talk after the show?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Amy.
Adriel, very nice to meet you. Thanks so much, Kelly. Stay in touch.
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
Thanks.
Ciao.
Again, thanks, Damien, for coming on. Really enjoyed the interview. Actually, there was a lot of people talking back and forth as Damien was doing the interview, and it seemed people actually really enjoyed the interview as it was going on too. So we're going to have him back. I want to talk dogs. I can talk for hours about dogs.
like dags.
Okay, so let's get into listener feedback. Listener feedback is sponsored by Army DC Gunsmith. Army DC Gunsmith is a full-service gunsmith who specializes in firearms refinishing. He offers hot bluing, parkerizing, Cerakote finishes, as well as wood grain, steel finish, refinishing, 1022s. He's got some optics, more, everything. Go and say hi to him. Go over to Army DC Gunsmith at dcgunsmith.ca. You can also check him out on Facebook as well as Instagram. All right. Do you want to read this one, the email?
Hey, guys and Kelly. I want to buy a Chris Vector Gen 2, and I want to hear your opinion of it. Would it be a good gun for maple seed and or 3-gun? Or should I consider something else? If so, what? And also, I'm sad to see Trevor leave. Who's going to smash the go button now? Thanks for hosting the best podcast in Canada. Keep up the great work. Thanks, from Ray. Chris Vector, not the best for maple seed.
No, it wouldn't be.
No, because it's weird on the forend, and it'd be hard to do that palm shelf and have a lot of real estate for it.
Yeah, and this is a short barrel too, so you'd be right up literally over the line when you're firing. So it's not the best for that, and also with it's just
the Canada legal ones have real long, the non-restricted ones have real long barrels on them. So you'd have some length there. They have a fake comp on there.
Yeah, but okay. I'm still thinking
Still not the best rifle for it.
What about 3-gun? It'd be okay for a 3-gun.
Yeah, it'd be okay. Yeah, it'd be fine as a PCC for 3-gun. I think it'd be okay.
So he's saying our opinions. Should you get one? The answer is, if it's a gun and buying one, the answer is always yes, right? Is that correct?
You might want to get one used, because then you won't lose any money off that the drive it off the lot fee.
That's true.
So you might want to take a look and see if you can get one used, and then try to get extended length magazines, because they're just handier to use for 3-gun and that kind of thing. It's just like way easier, like with like a big stick mags ramming that in, rather than a little one that you have to go flush with, or is just kind of short, right?
Yeah.
Trying to think of other things on them. No, I mean, they'd be fine for 3-gun. Yeah,
it'd be fine. Okay, so that's it for emails. If you'd like to send an email to Slamfire, just send it to slamfireradio@gmail.com, and nothing from Instagram or any of the reviews either. So Patreon, no new Patreonies either. So if you'd like to actually help support the program, just go over to patreon.com/slamfireradio, and you know what, go on over, send us a few dollars, we'll send you a few patches, different things like that. So yeah. I think we might have some content coming out soon.
Yes, we will have some content right away here that will be going out to our patrons.
Do we want to tell them, or do we want to tell them what's going on with that? Or
sure, yeah, we're going to have our hosts to be pop on for like a half hour and do a main topic with them and see how it goes. So we're going to be scheduling those. I bet you some of those people are listening right now, so we're going to reach out to you to schedule starting next week to get those in.
Yeah, we are. Love to talk to you. Come up. So if you're listening, come up with a really cool main topic or conversation. It's up to you. The other thing is, remember I said, remind me about Dave? Yeah. So last week, I posted the show, and somebody said, that Dave guy should be your new co-host. I'm going, he already is.
I don't know if you've been watching, but he's on.
He's not on that often. It's like, oh, he is good, isn't he? You guys did a fantastic job last week.
That was a good show. It's interesting. Yeah.
Okay. Got any shout outs for us?
Yeah, actually I do. To my IETs, like they kicked ass. It's been a long time since since we ran a Maple Seed. It feels like a long time, but they rolled right into it, shook the rust off, and got after it. And it was very easy to run both those events, because we've just got really skilled IETs. Even I had one guy who was new, and even he did a fantastic job. So it was really. I always feel really well supported, and I feel like I couldn't do those events on my own, and I'm glad that we've got such great instructors out here that can help me out and help run those things.
Yeah, we got some great people in Saskatchewan as well. Ontario's, oh my God, we got so many great ones and new ones as well. We're trying to pick up some steam out east, so if you actually do. If we're actually able to get an event up and running, if you score riflemen, try and help out there, and also in BC as well. We're looking for some riflemen out there to pick up the gauntlet and help out.
Gotta get some more in the southern Alberta area, but we need to run Maple Seeds to do that. So and to run the Maple Seeds, we need the restrictions to lift, and then we can run the stuff down there.
It's been a long year. And I'm hoping that it'll get lifted where we can actually have fun at the range again with Maple Seed and other things, 3-gun and all that. So I want to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to Kelly and Kyle Kincaid. They were the two people that brought me out to my first waterfowling experience. And it was so fantastic. And I also want to say thank you to Kyle for retrieving the ducks for me at the pond. and then for Kyle for smoking the ducks and it was really good. So I'm very, very blessed to have the Kincaids in my life, I must say. So that's it. And then also to the ladies that came over, or we had the meeting on Skype. Thanks for spending a couple hours with me yesterday and helping out with the calendar. So I just wanted to say thank you to them. That's it. All right, everybody, go check us out on Gunners Canada. Give us a like on Facebook. actually send us a review on Facebook. You can do that now too. Join the CCFR. Make sure that you're donating to their legal fund. Send us a little snapshot of that, and we'll include you in the draw. And yeah, see us next week. And good night, Kelly.
Good night, Kelly.
I love that, by the way. Thanks for doing that.